I'm so grateful that you made time to be with me here today. It means a lot to me that you took time out of your, what I'm sure is a very, very, very busy life and busy practice to do this with me. So I thank you, and I hope that this is useful to you. That's my hope here. We're going to talk about a heavy topic, commemorating October 7th. And I really want you to walk away with some practical things that you can do, practical things that you can do to support your Jewish clients. Okay. I'm going to ask for this presentation that we hold off on the questions until I say it's time to ask me questions. We're going to run about an hour and a bit with hopefully a lot of time for questions at the end. And we'll just kind of see how it goes. So you'll find that the presentation goes from, and I'll talk about the outline in a minute, but it's a little bit like a funnel. Okay. All right. I'm going to start with a disclaimer because there is a lot of expertise in this Zoom room, and I want to honor that. And I want to say that the webinar is intended to provide general information, educational information, which is related to the intersecting fields of psychology and Jewish culture. It's not intended to establish a supervisor-supervisee relationship or a consultant-consultee relationship between me and you. It is presented for educational purposes, not construed as professional advice, okay? You are encouraged to consult with qualified professionals in your respective jurisdictions. We have people here from different jurisdictions for personalized advice and supervision, okay? So that is important for me to let you know about. All right. I want to give you a little bit of an outline. And I want to let you know that we're going to go into an intro and a little bit of context. We can't really do this without some context. We're going to talk about the importance of commemoration. We're going to talk about meaning making and trauma recovery, about practical considerations in commemoration. We're going to talk about honoring loss through tradition and some Q&A. I want to tell you a little bit about myself before we start. Hello and welcome again. My name is Dr. Rotem Regev. I'm a registered psychologist in BC. That's where I'm presenting from today. I earned my PhD at University of Victoria. And I did my residency. I was so lucky to do it in the Ottawa Hospital and at ICEFT, International Center for Excellence in Emotionally Focused Therapy. And so my home is attachment theory. You're going to hear that throughout. You're going to hear that I come from a very relational place. I do a lot of relationship therapy. That's my focus. Trauma has been my focus. And as of kind of recent years, doing more and more therapist training and organizational consulting to organizations who want to figure out relationships better. I am very lucky to be presenting to you today on the unceded and traditional territories of the Coast Salish people, the Squamish, the Tsleil-Waututh, and the Musqueam nations. And speaking of that, I want to ask you a little bit about, or want to hear rather from you, where are you Zooming from? Where are you here from? So here is a quick way for us, if you can you see my poll of let's get to know each other? I would love to hear, where are you from? Where are people from? Welcome to the people who just joined us. You can go ahead and answer this poll so we see, and already I'm seeing that we have a lot of people here from Vancouver, BC. We're having a beautiful day here in the city. Elsewhere in BC, we have some folks from Ontario, welcome, and elsewhere in Canada. And some people from parts of the US. So I'll share this in a minute once we have everybody. All right. Let's see. Okay, about 30% of us from Vancouver. We got people from BC, Ontario. I wonder where that elsewhere is. West coast of the US. We got East Coast of the US. Hello, I know it's later for you. Thank you for making time. People from South America. We got some RCCs with us today, different types of counselors, social work psychologists. Hello to all of my colleagues, nurses, and Usher. I wonder what those are. Most of you work with adults, which is fantastic because that is kind of going to be the focus here. People with children and adolescents, I'm going to be really curious to hear what you are receiving from this that you can translate. Couples and families, LGBTQIA2S community, beautiful, welcome, individuals and mood disorders. Okay, trauma. We all do trauma, and that's why I said there's a lot of expertise in this room. And I'm just realizing that I haven't shared the results with you. I thought I did. So here it is. You can kind of quickly look at it. I thought we were looking at this together, but we weren't. Okay. Well, welcome everybody. Again, glad that you're here. I'm a settler on this land, but actually my origin is from a different place. I'm indigenous to Israel. That's where I was born. That's where my family is from. Born to Israeli Jewish parents. My great-grandparents on the one side immigrated to Israel in the early 1930s. My grandfather on the other side survived the Holocaust as a young boy on third generation, fled to Israel at 12 years old, and still lives there. Very lucky to have him and my grandmother. Israel, just a little bit of context for those of you who don't know. We're going to kind of run through this part. Nestled from Lebanon from the north and the Golan Heights, which are in Israel and Syria on the northeast side, Jordan and Egypt to the south, and is east of the Mediterranean Sea. Okay, you have some pictures here about where that is. In terms of size, those of you who are local might be surprised to know that the state of Israel is just about this smaller, rather, than Vancouver Island, with quite a bit not quite a bit less, quite a bit less people in population. And those of you from the States, it is about the size of New Jersey with about the same amount of people. I say this because it's really important to take into account with everything that we're talking about, that Israel is a very small country, that everybody knows everybody. And when I say that, it's not that people know, it's not that I know 9 million people, but it's that if I talk to them for 10 minutes, we will find people who we know for sure. Everybody knows somebody who was affected by terrorism or combat, and that is something that that's research that was present even before October 7th. So you can imagine the magnitude of the hit after October 7th, if this was true beforehand. I'm just going over the chat real quick. Oh, people are telling me, thank you. I can close the poll. Okay, thank you. People, the fact that you're helping me with technology, I appreciate that. That's the part that's always trickiest for me. Something to keep in mind about the culture of Israel is that it is somewhere on the continuum between collectivistic and individualistic. We have a diverse ethnic and religious groups. We have about 75% of the population Jewish, but we have Muslim, Christians, different religions and ethnic groups, Druze, Bedouin people. We'll talk about that maybe in the context of October 7th, where people were hit regardless. Jewish cultural traditions emphasize community. We emphasize being together. It's a big part of the culture, the tradition. On the one hand, Israel is also known for being a startup nation, which values individual initiative and innovation. Okay. Okay, try choosing view to show side-by-side gallery. You should see the slides. Okay. I don't know how to do that, but I'm okay. Thank you. Israel is the homeland of the Jewish people. Most Jews have family in Israel. Again, not everybody. Many have visited Israel. Many people think of Israel as their homeland. That's very important for you as a clinician to know. We have about between, people say 80, 90% of people, depending on the poll, consider that strong connection with Israel, and some don't, right? So important also for me to say, I'm not representing anybody here, right? I don't want to be the rep Jew or the rep Israeli. People are different and all voices are worthy of being listened to. I'm grateful that you're listening to me, but I don't want you to take what we're going over here to say that this is how my client is feeling, because it's always best to ask them. Okay. The attacks on October 7th, it's almost a year. 1,400 people were brutally massacred by Hamas terrorists in rampage through different towns and kibbutzes. 251 people were kidnapped. We know that 117 returned alive. We know bodies were returned. And we know that still today, as we're talking right now, 101 hostages are still in Gaza. We know that rockets, missiles have been fired. That received less attention in the news, but it's ongoing. In terms of the immediate aftermath of October 7th, if we consider the numbers, we could sort of think that 1,400 people killed in a country of 9 million is as if 40,000 people were killed in America in 9/11. We know that in the beginning, over 250,000 people were displaced from their homes. We know that we still have over 100,000 people right now displaced from their home. Remember, I talked about every Israeli knows somebody who was a victim of terror. Well, obviously that multiplied. We can say that today every Israeli knows at least one person who was murdered or kidnapped, right? Or of them. We know of. Every Jewish person is affected. Some people are affected differently. People are affected in different ways, but they're affected. Then there is the drastic rise in anti-Semitism globally. Just last week, I don't know if you saw this, the FBI report came out that anti-Semitic hate crimes in the US have surged 63% in 2023 to an all-time high. This is something that is in one way or another probably affecting your clients. Now, again, I don't know what your client has been feeling. The initial shock, numbness, confusion, fear, anger, guilt are some of the things that many people reported. And also with that, people talking about feeling abandoned, feeling betrayed by their community. So a lot of people tell me, I'm not a Jewy Jew, right? I don't go to synagogue. I don't have much with the community, but this hits me very hard. And hearing how other people talked about my community hits me very hard. People felt gaslit and helpless, don't know what to do with everything that happened. A lot of grief that Jewish people have been dealing with, and grief for many things. It is multi-layered. Grief for lost lives, grief for the loss of the dream of safety. For some of your clients, in the back of their minds, maybe their parents, maybe their grandparents told them once, if things go wrong, you can always go to Israel, right? Well, if this happens in Israel and if we don't have a strong Israel, what's going to happen with me, right? Loss of friendships, loss of trust in institutions that were supposed to keep us safe, like universities, like our country for some people, right? Like my professional organization, like a Facebook group that I saw myself a part of and then felt like I don't belong there anymore. Okay. Let's move to what might your client feel now. And so for some people, it is still fear of safety or for safety. If you have clients who are especially college students, but not only, that is, of course, takes the precedence. Takes priority. That is what you would be working with them on. How do you make sure that you're safe and feeling safe? So maybe we're still thinking about hypervigilance. We're still thinking about trauma responses and how to handle them. For other people, we're kind of morphing into this confusion/curiosity about your identity. Thinking about, wait a minute, what does this all mean and how does this all fit? And I'm going to talk about that. There is some acceptance, maybe resignation, coming to terms with, again, everything that happened, the aftermath of that. And what does this say? There's sadness, a lot of sadness, of course, and for some, hopelessness. What's going to happen? So I think that generally speaking, we're moving from it. That's what I was seeing in my clients, my community, moving from the trauma responses to, unfortunately, the heaviness, the more depressive feelings. And if the sentiment at first was really about the shock and managing trauma and being very hypervigilant, now it's more like something that is always there. And I want to share this with you. This is a drawing done by Daniela London Deckel, Israeli artist. She called it Cloud, and she shows here how the cloud, this dark cloud, always there. And many people responded with, oh yeah, that's exactly it. Not only when I'm eating and walking the dog or looking at my phone, but also when I'm cuddling with a cat, right? When I'm just watching TV, when I'm in the shower, when I'm brushing my teeth, it's really bad at night. So that is the sentiment for many people. Okay, I am going to move to the importance of commemoration. The importance of commemoration. From a trauma perspective, we want to honor that this happened. That's part of saying that this is very real, right? We're honoring that this happened, acknowledging this happened. We want to do it in a contained way. We don't want this to catch up to us and, oh, oh, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to feel. We want to create a container for it. We're marking it. And then the purpose of doing it, the last thing that I will mention here is that we're doing it in order to integrate it into our life. This is something that happened to me, to us. This is something that happened, and I'm still continuing. There was life before and life after, and I'm integrating it as part of my story. In terms of the Jewish perspective, we're all about commemoration. We're all about memories and remembering. Remember the Sabbath day, right? This is one of the commandments. The essence of a holiday many times is to remember, right? For Hanukkah, we forever and ever eat jelly donuts and latkes because we want to remember the miracle of the oil lasting for 8 days. Jewish men wear kippah on their head to remind themselves that God is always above them. And when someone passes, we say, in the Jewish culture, we say, may their memory be a blessing. The prayer that we say in synagogue at the anniversary of people's death is called Yizkor. We also say that on Yom Kippur, holiest day of the year for Jewish people. The Yizkor prayer, Yizkor means remember, right? To remember. What makes this anniversary even tougher, aside from being it is so unbelievable that a year has passed, aside from it being the first one, it's still ongoing. We're not past the trauma, right? I don't know if you're watching the news. You watched the news this morning. When I was preparing the slide, I thought, oh, I'm going to include some of what's been happening, and then I said, forget it. I'm not going to be able to, because every day, every hour, there's something new. There's new developments. People are still displaced. People are still going to safe rooms. People are still in the army. And for your clients here who are impacted, they are still grappling with what's happening at the university. Do I go to class? Do I not go to class? Is it safe for me? What about this friend? I have a client who is new here in Vancouver and told me I want to make new friends, but I'm so hesitant and I have to sort of see, are they going to be safe people? Are they not going to be safe people? So the trauma is ongoing. It's not an event. It's not like a car accident, or even if we're talking community trauma, a tsunami. It came, it left, now we're dealing with the devastation. This is very, very different. It's ongoing. And the second one is that it coincides with the high holidays. And that's really rough because the high holidays are, which should have been capitalized here, are time to rejoice. So I want to give you a little primer on high Jewish holidays. The calendar that Jewish people follow is a lunisolar calendar, follows the moon and the sun. Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, is when the year begins. Typically September or October it will fall on. Yom Kippur, 10 days after that, Yom Kippur comes, which is a day of atonement. Yom Kippur is the day that people fast on. And it is a day of really connecting with God. It comes 10 days after Rosh Hashanah. Sukkot is a holiday that comes after Yom Kippur, and it commemorates, right? We're remembering the time that the Israelites walked in the desert for 40 years until they were able to return to their indigenous Israel. Sukkot is then followed by Simchat Torah, which is the rejoicing with the Torah. They got to Israel, they received the Torah. That's what Simchat Torah is about. And it is considered, especially if your client is religious, this is especially true for people who are religious, the most joyful holiday. October 7th in 2023 was on Simchat Torah. Okay. Really important context to know. Also means that for your client, the month of October, again, really based on their observance level, might be a difficult month. We have Erev Rosh Hashanah, we have Rosh Hashanah on the 2nd until the 4th, and then Yom Kippur on the 12th. We have October 7th, which I marked in red. But Simchat Torah, October 25th, might also be a difficult time, a difficult day for your clients. So when we're thinking about commemoration, when we're thinking about what to do when, it's important for your clients to ask themselves, or for you to raise maybe the question, so let's look at the month of October and let's see, when are going to be those days when we need a plan for? When are we going to commemorate? This is a throwback slide. It's a throwback slide to the Shalom model that I came up with last October. I want to tell you, my dear, highly respected colleagues, this is not a validated model. This did not go through any testing or been operationalized. This was me kind of putting my thoughts out there in terms of what might be important right now, back in October. And then the acronym just kind of jumped out at me. We talked about safety and stabilization as the first thing to do. We talked about how it's still happening. It's very hard for me to believe that it is still happening. We talked about the importance of accessing supports. We talked about leaning into culture, organizing the emotion, and then about meaning making. Now, back in last October, November, December, some of you were there for my presentations, and thank you. We were talking more about the safety part. We were talking more about support, but all those other things. And we said the meaning making we need a little bit of time and a little bit of perspective to get to. So today, I'm going to talk more about meaning making, even though, again, safety, obviously, the first priority. That's a lot more salient for some of your clients than others. Oh, sorry. Okay, we're back. You can see this, right? No. Yes. Yes, you can see it. Okay. Well, so why is it saying your screen sharing is paused? You can see what it says? Yes. Okay. Oh, okay. I just won't trust it then. I'm trusting humans over technology. Meaning making in, oh, I didn't want to do that. Meaning making in trauma recovery. So we know that traumatic large-scale events can create a shift in our understanding of ourselves, our world, and our future. Meaning making is the process that we take to, again, integrate. We're hopefully at a stage where we can integrate what's happening, a little bit of this, right? How does this fit into who I am? Okay, we're still on Shalom model. Some people are still seeing that. Okay, thank you for telling me. Hold on, share. No, sorry. Resume. Resume, yes, yes, we got it, team. Okay, all right. So yes, we're at the stage, hopefully, where we're saying, wait, how does this fit? How is all of this, how does this fit into who I am as a person? These are the types of questions we want to be asking now. We know that those who have a why to live can bear almost any how. So hard times, still hard times for your clients. We want to get into the why, the meaning, so we can make sense of what's happening. And making sense, making meaning is crucial because we want to be coherent. We want to be the authors. We want to find consistency and we want to find resilience. What we don't want is the chaos that we've been feeling. What we don't want is channeling everything to this moment, right? We want to, as I said, integrate it. I want to say a quick word about collective trauma. And I've said this all along, right? The best thing for your clients, I would say personally, humbly, is to be with people who get them. You talk to people who survived earthquakes, tsunamis, and wars. They want to be with people who get what they've been through. They can draw strength from them. They know that they're not alone. It's a level of validation that is very healing. So yes, we are typically with our clients one-on-one, but we can encourage them to find their people and lean into that as a source of strength. So collective healing, it helps us to have a sense of a shared experience. It provides social support. We can be witnessed and we can story tell. And some people can call us out and say, wait a minute, is it exactly like that? Can you look at it in a different way? We can learn from others about collective coping strategies. Okay. I want to talk about some practical approaches, some practical ideas and things that you can ask your clients about. You can ask, really, we're trying to kind of check in and keep stock of, how's your day-to-day life changed? How have you changed? Have your values changed? How has your worldview changed? How has your connection to Judaism changed? Maybe to Israel. Some clients are going to be full of rage there, right? Some people are going to feel closer. People have different feelings. It's just a matter of really naming, labeling those, understanding that, so we can have a sense of, what is the change that happened to me? We can make sense of it. How's your connection to your communities change? Professional communities, different communities. And now I want to highlight a form of meaning making. And I want to be clear that we don't want to dismiss our clients' experience. We never want to be offer the toxic positivity. No, but look at the bright side. We don't want to do that, but we do want to look at resilience. So when we're asking those identity questions about how have you changed, we want to also keep in the back of our mind, be able to invite into discussion the resilience. I want to share this picture that says, "We will dance again," and it has October 7, 23. It's a tattoo on an arm. It's a popular tattoo these days. Most of you know that one of the massacres happened at a music festival, at the Nova Music Festival. And this particular tattoo belongs to this beautiful lady who was kidnapped from the Nova Festival and was later released in a hostage deal. She was a hostage by Hamas for 54 days. She was in captivity. Her name is Maya Shem, and she came back very shortly after. She tattooed on her arm, "We will dance again." This is somebody who decided that Maya is one of the first hostages to talk about the sexual traumas that were endured while in captivity. This is what she chose. This is her way to commemorate what happened. One of the ways. We know as a nation that we have always embraced resilience. We talk about Shoah, the Holocaust, but when we talk about it, we always talk about the Tkuma, the rising up. Rising up. We're always talking about building. And I don't know if you're aware, but so many organizations, there's so much social mobilization in North America today, in Israel, of course, but in North America today, to build structures, to build communities, to build supports. So in summary, we're talking about organizing, making sense, and integrating the loss, but we're balancing that with celebrating survival, too fast, celebrating survival and finding the resilience, what else do we have? I'm going to interrupt the program, do a little bit of a timeout here to tell you about a couple or a few upcoming events here while I have your attention. I'm going to offer an identifying and countering anti-Semitism workshop. It's going to be for CE credits. I don't have all the details yet, but it's upcoming. It's in the works. There is a talk that I'm going to facilitate with a healthcare practitioner, or mental health rather practitioner, who's treating Nova survivors. And we're going to talk about trauma therapy in unprecedented times. And that one's going to be a fundraiser for the nonprofit that this person is a part of, this professional is a part of. And then there is going to be a restorative retreat, because don't we all need it, for Jewish therapists and their allies, which is you all. And that I'm very much looking forward to sharing all of these opportunities for connection with all of you. And as I said at the beginning, my home is attachment, and I'm here to make connections. That's what I'm put on this earth for, to create connections and help people find each other. And I'm so glad I found you, and I'm hoping to facilitate more of that. So that's that commercial. Let's jump back in. I'm just looking at the chat. Yes, thank you for the question. How can we find out more and register for these events? I will let you know. And any way to get the slides, I will get the slides to you. Any way to get the recording, I will get the recording to you after today. I will, I promise. It might take me a little bit, but I will. Okay. Practical considerations in trauma-informed commemoration. Wait, more things in the chat. 1 sec. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, well, the first thing to say is do no harm, right? We want to promote healing. We don't want to re-traumatize. So we're not going to ask the question of, tell me about that day. What exactly happened? Hear all about it, and then say, well, time's up. All right, now I know you're not going to do that. I trust you. But I want to highlight that, right? We want enough time for the integration, for the healing. We don't want to just go through the trauma. We want to establish physical and emotional safety and empower our clients to check in with themselves. Check in with themselves. So how are we doing? How is it going to go physically? How am I doing? What am I going to do? What kind of grounding can I do if I feel overwhelmed? What's my emotional safety strategy? The key here is planning. For me, the key is planning. And that's what I've been doing lately with my clients. And after October 7th, my Jewish caseload, my trauma caseload exploded. And so that's what I've been doing, is saying, okay, so October 7th is coming up. Should we spend some time talking a little bit about how that day is going to go and what you're going to do? Have you thought about what you wanted to do that day? How were you going to mark the day? And then going through the contingencies, right? If you're going somewhere to do it, if you're going to a community event, what might you expect? Do you know what they're going to do there? You want to make sure that this is something that resonates with you. You want to make sure that the content there is not going to be too overwhelming for you. What to do if you get overwhelmed? Should you have your bottle of water there? Should you have your fidget with you in your pocket? Do you want your whatever it is that I'm sure that your clients, that you talk about with your clients as a little bit of a kit, right? to have that there. What are you going to do if during any ceremony that you're going to be attending? What kind of grounding can you do? Can you give yourself permission to step out if it feels like too much? And then what are you going to do after? What are you going to do after? And I have been asking people to remember how we talked about contained. We want whatever commemoration that you're going to do, we want it to have a before, a during, and an after. And the after, we want it to be something restorative. So what does that mean for your client? Are they going to go for a yoga class after? After whatever time they decide to do whatever they decide to do, right? Yes, planning prefrontal cortex, that's right. Yes. We're engaging that to be planning so that in the moment when if we're flooded, we already have a plan in place, right? But going back to restorative, what you want to give yourself time, kind of like if you were to be washed by a wave, to give yourself some time to watch the wave recede, to know that you're still on the ground, you're still here. Okay. What we don't want is to switch into a task right after, right? I did this and then I hopped on a Zoom call. We don't want that. Something else to consider is, or other things to consider here are, who will be part of the commemoration? You might be doing a piece in the therapy room with your client. They might want to attend, as I said, a community event. Who is going to be their person there? They might want to go with a friend. They might want to be with family. They might not. So who is going to be a part of the plan here? Quick water break. Here's something else that I talked to people recently that I really like this concept, not only for this, but yes, for this, balancing consumption and creation. I talk to my kids about this. If you're gonna do something on a screen, right? Are you going to just consume, have all of the information come at you, or are you also going to create? And this is, I think, very true for commemoration. When you're creating, you're a lot more in control and you're a lot more reflective. So have a component, at least, of creation, whether it is composing music, writing, maybe it's going to be your favorite breathing exercises that you're going to surround yourself with while you're doing this. But don't leave it as just consumption, having a lot of information come at you, because that can also lead to overwhelm. Okay, another point about another practical point to keep in mind is that your client's commemoration should be as unique as your client. I can't tell them what commemoration should look like for them, and I'm not going to tell you, right? It is something for them to consider. What would be meaningful for you? What would be meaningful for you? Is there a piece of music that you want to play? Is there a piece of music that you want to listen to? Are you feeling inspired to write a poem? Do you want to light a candle, put flowers anywhere? Okay, so it's going to be unique to them. But again, it's an opportunity. You're offering them an opportunity to reflect on that. And lastly, or I think almost lastly in this long presentation, and thank you for really sticking with me here, is honoring loss through tradition. How do we honor loss in the Jewish tradition? So in the Jewish tradition, we light candles at Yartzites, and the Yartzeit is the anniversary. I mean, we light candles all the time. We light candles for Shabbat. We light candles during Hanukkah. So lighting candles and really connecting with spreading light is something that is traditional and might work for some of your clients. Prayer. Again, there is Kaddish, which is the mourner's prayer. That may speak to your client. They can read that. They can go to services, but they can also just be very intentional about tuning in and speaking from the heart. And that's also prayer, is it not? Right. So it doesn't have to be any particular thing. My personal favorite, which is, I want to say a little bit more like Israeli than Jewish, maybe, is planting a tree. And we know that we do that. Israel is one of the, I think, one of the only countries that celebrates the holidays. The holiday, mixing my words here. Rosh Hashanah for the trees, New Year's for the trees, Tu B'Shvat, which is a super fun holiday where you plant a tree. Now, we made a holiday out of it. It really came from the need to make the land more prosperous, but it is still used to commemorate today, and it's still used to honor. It's an honor. You can send someone a card and say, I planted a tree in your name. That's something very, I would say, maybe not common, but it's super, super common, but something that can be done. But you don't have to plant a tree. Go and water your garden, right? Go and buy yourself a little plant and watch it grow and see how it does in the spring, and tune into regeneration and renewal. Turn into the spirit of we will dance again and we will flourish again, right? And watch the tree do that and get inspired. And the last thing I have here on the slides is spreading kindness, or giving to charity, which is tzedakah. A very, very common way of commemoration is giving, making a charity donation, or just spreading kindness. I'll share with you that after October 7th, maybe a week or two, I don't know how many weeks after, that it's all a blur. But I walked into the bakery and I bought my challah, and I was inspired because I heard somebody else do it. I was inspired to pay for the challah of the person who was going to come after me. And I said, so here's money for my challah, but here's more money for the person who's going to come after me. And the cashier said, oh, that's very kind. And I said to her, that's all we have left. And so that moves me to tears, because how I've been dealing with this is really trying to tune into, how do we spread kindness? How do we spread light? Okay. So I think no, it's not my last slide, but that's the last kind of big message that I want to convey to you is honoring through spreading light. And I'm going to move now just to a couple slides that talk about resources, and then we're going to open it up to questions. And I'm reminding you that I will be sending you these slides. And I will be sending you the slides, and I will be sending you the recording. Okay, for my American friends who have tuned in, I'm so grateful that you've tuned in. I don't have a lot of American resources, and because these presentations go on the internet and then are spread, I get emails from people about resources, which I would love to respond to. If you know of resources, can you please email me some resources? And I'll have a little I'll compile them. Okay. All right. These are some resources. I want to thank you. I want to thank all of you for supporting your Jewish clients, for coming here to listen to me today. It's, I'm sure you can tell, this is very much my passion, and I get a lot of purpose in doing this, but I can't do this in an empty room, right? So thank you for being here, and thank you for making a difference in your clients' lives. I appreciate the care that you take in receiving this training and receiving extra training in looking at your cultural competency piece. I want to also thank the Jewish Therapist Collective, a wonderful group who has graciously sponsored this event and spread the word about it. And I'm going to be doing more collaborations with them. And I want to let you know that I'm available for training and also different training. I mean, before I was doing this, I was doing a lot of my attachment and relationship training and all of that, and consultations with both clinicians and organizations. So lovely if you can spread the word about that. Use me as a resource. And before I open this up for questions, which we'll have a little bit of time for, I'm just going to say thank you to all the people in the chat who are writing to me. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. I appreciate you being here. Okay. Beautiful. If you're spreading the word, please, if you can spread the word to non-Jewish therapists. It is my mission to help as many non-Jewish therapists as possible to get some insight, have an understanding of what might their clients be going through, and inspire them to really be there in that capacity for their clients.